What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. Season 4 of the Mindshare podcast. I am your host, David Greenspan, and I am excited that you are here with us today. This week's episode is sponsored by Kits Keep in Touch Systems and the Buzz Conference. Now, the Buzz has 2 dates that I want you to write down right now. I've told you about this a couple weeks in a row, and I'm going to repeat this for you right now. The first one is June 24th. Now, this is a philanthropic initiative. The goal is to raise over $1 million over the next 5 years to support Indigenous communities. So I want you to mark that down, June 24th. Make sure you visit the Buzz, check that out, get registered for that one. The next event, the next one I want you to mark down is called Disruption 2022. And this one's taking place on September 7th through 8th. Now, both events are going to be located at the Liberty Grand here in Toronto, Canada. So be sure to follow The Buzz Conference on Instagram at The Buzz Conference and go over to their website, www.thebuzzconference.com, to keep tabs on all of the amazing events they're always hosting, along with getting the latest copy of the Buzz digital magazine. We are proud to have the Buzz Conference as an ongoing sponsor of the Mindshare podcast. Kits is also with us today. And of course, well, you know, I've got to talk about Kits. Kits is near and dear to my heart. Marketing machine that we developed about 17 years ago. And I tell you about it every single week and how powerful the CRM is and the landing pages and the websites and the social media content, but the newsletters and the email and the action plans, the drip campaigns. I mean, I could go on and talk about it the entire time, but we got an amazing guest waiting for us. So we're going to skip that. What I'm going to tell you right now, go over to mindshare101.com, click on marketing up at the top, read up about what Kits is all about. If you're not using it, what the? But if you are using it, well, you know what I'm talking about. So either way, we are grateful for you. Make sure you check that out. And of course, as you know, specific to the podcast, we are on a mission to get to 100 reviews on iTunes. And so I would like to ask you, if you haven't done this yet, please go over to ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. Again, that's ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. Take 2 quick seconds, leave us a nice 10-star review. I think they only have 5 stars, but you know what I mean. Leave us a nice review. Tell us how much you love the show. We would be grateful. And again, as always, thank you in advance. Today's episode is number 183. A driven marketing executive, she focuses on delivering effective strategies in the rapidly changing digital landscape. In 2010, she joined Exit Realty Corp International and began building the company's social media presence, coordinating marketing projects, and implementing and optimizing advertising initiatives, both for the brand as well as exit agents and owners across Canada and the United States. In addition to her ongoing work developing the brand's digital footprint, she works closely with Exit's communications, design, and development teams to innovate competitive tools and technology to enhance the career of Exit's associates and provide a positive experience for consumers. Joining me on this episode of the Mindshare podcast is Vice President of Digital Marketing at Exit Realty Corp International, Samantha Morris. Samantha, welcome to the Mindshare podcast.
Hi, David. Thank you so much for having me online with you today.
Absolutely. Excited to dive into this conversation with you. You know, 2 marketing minds coming together to, well, help everybody build a whole bunch of Mindshare. Definitely a favorite topic of mine. So I'm excited to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was cool to meet you a few weeks ago in Halifax.
It was a great event.
Oh my God, it was awesome.
You know, it's so awesome to be in front of a group of people that are just really excited to step forward and really excited to embrace where we are, what we're doing, and just, take that leap. So the energy was definitely palatable, and you, of course, were awesome. So
thank you.
Super appreciative.
I was about to mention about the energy. I know Joyce is amazing. Joyce has been on this show. Joyce and I spoke, and I know I love her energy and what she's all about. And I was excited to be there. I was really excited to be there with you guys. But I remember walking in the room just feeling there's something going on in here. It's awesome. Some of the stories that we heard on stage. You had an awesome presentation on stage. In fact, I wanted to kind of piggyback off of that today and talk all about that, because the whole topic here being about, the most effective digital marketing strategies. And I know, well, it's right up your alley. So I guess the question I got here right off the top is digital marketing the be all and end all? Are traditional marketing strategies still effective? What's your view on the overall of a realtor's marketing strategy?
I feel that digital is equally, if not more important. I really do believe that all of the marketing initiatives, print, digital, outdoor, all of that has value. But I think a big part of what dictates how valuable those pieces are is where you're located. Because, different areas respond differently to different types of marketing. Now, granted, we know everybody's online and they've been online more than ever. And that's a constant evolution over the last couple of years. So to be able to be in front of them, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It's just that to me is like a no-brainer. And we've just seen success story after success story, whether it's a brand new agent or someone who's very seasoned, who's been around since they were putting ads out in the newspaper. It's they've really been able to reach audiences that they couldn't reach before.
For sure. And so, okay, let me take you back to 1 second that you said there of depends on where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Help me understand that one better.
So I think location in terms of what city, state, province you're in, whether you're on the East Coast, the West Coast, knowing your audience and understanding sort of what your objective is going to help you decide what type of marketing you want to use. And I just think it's, it may be different whether it's a very rural area versus a city area or a densely populated area. But understanding how people respond, right? And that requires a little bit of testing, right? Whether you be farming with print marketing or branding yourself with digital ad campaigns, it's a constant thing that needs to be monitored in order to see the pulse of the people. Because at the end of the day, what we want to deliver is something that provides value to them. And, it's not, it is absolutely about exposure, but it's also about delivering value because that's how you're going to begin to develop relationships with people that you may not have, had the opportunity to do before. So it's really just paying attention to your core audience and knowing what your sort of end goal is, right? Planning, thinking ahead of time, like what is it that I want to achieve with this particular campaign, whether it's print or digital. I love digital because you can get to places that you could never before. I love digital because it's instant. And we are very much in an instant society. I think that's, through and through, we all know where we're at in terms of our attention span, how we respond.
Sorry, what? I wasn't paying attention. No.
Yeah. So
it's true though, right?
It is very true. It's very true. And it's communicating to people in the way in which they want to be communicated to, right? It's a rule. Like, do I want to receive mail? I personally, I don't actually receive much mail because everything's digital. It's my preference. So would I prefer to receive a digital ad campaign? Absolutely. And that's just me. And that doesn't necessarily mean that's right for everybody. But if the cross section of or the majority of your audience feels that way or responds more effectively that way, then that's where you should be.
Yeah. And look, I think just to like preface the whole thing, I think everybody needs to be digital. And it's not about not using the traditional, but I think that in today's world, you have to be using digital. It's important. A key point that you made there was about knowing your audience. Mm-hmm. And we talk about the niche market all the time. We talk about who are the people that you deal with. And I think that it's important for everybody to really internalize that, especially when it comes to marketing and marketing dollars. You've only got so many dollars out there to spend. Mm-hmm. And so are you going to market to, 360 million people or 36 million people? The reality is no, the budget is not there for that when you're a small entrepreneur business, as most salespeople are, sales representatives are. So to that now it goes, who is the database? Who are the people that you deal with? What is that demographic area that you're talking to? And that kind of leads me to the next question there for us a quick second. And there's going to be an ongoing theme that just sort of flows with this because I want to come back to that thing about value as well, and how do we deliver value? What does that really mean? Where does the majority of a realtor's business come from? People they know or people they don't know?
People they know.
Okay. So on that then, when we talk about people they know, when we look at, again, both traditional and digital, regardless of, we know right there, we know who our niche audience is. Mm-hmm. And I will say this, that I think when it comes to the marketing strategy, there needs to be that mix between the online and the offline. We've got to have that proper balance because even though we know that a lot of people, like everybody's here, there's something to be said about the fact that if I send you some of this stuff paper, you're going to see it. And now I'm leveraging a number of different channels to get the message across, and ultimately building a whole bunch of mind share with you, which is really what we want people to do is go, yeah, when I think about my house, I think about Samantha,
Mm-hmm.
right? If I do that, you're winning.
100%. And that's, I mean, the number one rule of advertising or marketing is repetition.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
We want to get in front of people as often as possible. We start with everybody we know. We begin to build outside of that sphere with people that they know, that we then know, and then the people that we don't know, that we don't have, first connections with. But it's that constant repetition. It's reminding them that you're always present, you're providing value, you're available, regardless of how the industry is throughout the year, regardless of what the market's like. Even in August, when most people are off on vacation, we don't stop marketing. It's not about start, stop. It's about that constant repetition. And it helps to build that, loyalty before they've even had the opportunity to develop a relationship with you, because they see you and they tend to associate you with being an expert in your field.
You know, the way I look at it, I've been saying to people a lot with the digital stuff is, especially for the people that are reluctant to get on digital, like they don't want to get on video, they don't want to be doing, posting about personal stuff or whatever. It's by doing it, you help people believe in you, right? Because one, they start to actually see who you are, but then as they see who you are, they can passively, while they don't engage with you in any way, they can passively take in your content or passively listen to you, watch you, learn from you, and almost start to develop this thing of like, you know what? I don't just know you, I actually kind of like you. And then maybe I'll even get to that point of trust you, which we know that that's where the listings come from.
Well, it helps breed authenticity, right? It really, it's very much in line with what you do, right? If I don't know who you are and I'm in my career and I kind of want to take it to the next level, but I'm not really sure how to do that. And I start listening to you and I get to know you because you're just being your authentic self. You're just having these conversations in order to inspire, to educate, to help each other, right? Then I begin to develop that sort of inherent following, because I'm looking to you for that expertise. And I'm like, oh, he knows a thing or two. I want to keep listening, right? So then by the time I meet you, I'm like, I know this guy. I know who this person is.
Exactly, right? And then when you meet me, we're going to circle back on this authenticity thing as well. And then when you meet me, being the exact same whoever, being the exact same person you saw on the camera, on the social media, through the digital, and you go, that's the same guy I met. He's the same person in person. And in fact, I like him even more.
It's so true though. But think of over the years, like I think as a society, we're just very sick and tired of inauthenticity, right? We want to know people for who they are. We want a little bit of exposure into their personal life with some limitations, of course, but we want to know that you're human. We want to know that we can have that conversation and that it's a real experience.
So let's go to that then. Authenticity, like that fear from people. And I'm going to be right here transparent with everybody right now and go, first, no longer. My friends now know who I am, and that sounds kind of awkward maybe, but like when you look at like the professional version of who you are, the person who you are today, were we those people 15, 20 years ago? Maybe not. And everybody evolves over time and finds, who they are along the way. But there are people who are, they find who they are, but they go, oh my God, I don't want to tell the rest of the world about that. Like, I don't want people to know that about me. And you go, well, yeah, but if you don't do that, then what are you showing people? Is that even who you really are? Is that the real you? And I think people have a big fear, and we know fear is one of the biggest motivators there is out there, like probably the biggest. But we know that fear is what stops people from sharing who they are. How do we get past that? How do we get to the point, like, what would be your thing to people of, be who you are, put yourself out there, get past it. How do we be authentic and comfortable with it?
Wow.
Loaded question. I know.
That's a great question. I think it comes back to that saying that everything you want is on the other side of fear.
Yeah.
Right. I think every single person, regardless of whether you're in the real estate industry or outside of it, there's a moment in time, if not multiple moments, where you have reservations about speaking up or speaking out, putting yourself out there. Right. Again, to your point, being who you truly are and whether or not you feel ultimately comfortable with that. But until we start stepping outside of these boxes that we've created for ourselves, how is it that we're going to have the next level of experience, right? The next level of success. So it does require a little bit of courage. right? It does require a little bit of self-love and acceptance. I am who I am, flaws and all. No different than we can just have a regular video and it doesn't need to be edited or filtered or,
Mm-hmm.
it's okay to be you, and being able to sort of just decide. And I think it's a decision. You have to decide to accept that, to be comfortable with that, and to know that when you're yourself, you are your best, right? When you are truly being yourself, it's irresistible. It really is. When you're in front of someone who's authentic, and it's so compelling, you just want to get to know a little bit more about them.
So here's here's the question I got for you then. For you yourself, how did you get to that point? Like, and again, it's the learning for everybody to take on, but connecting on social, you get to learn about each other in a different way, right?
Mhm.
You get to see that next side of people beyond, let's say, just the business. And that's where you do get to be able to say, really like this person, like that's my people right there. You know what I mean? Like we could jive and forget this whole business thing. Like I could sit with this person and hang. But to get there, you've got to let yourself out. Like you've got to put yourself out there and say, I'm going to do that. I'm going to drop the guard,
Mhm.
flaws and all, and kind of go,
Mhm.
this is me. How did you get to that point and go, you know what? Never mind, am I going to break the mold on it? But like, I know this makes me stronger, better, faster, everything else. Because it takes time to get there. You got to like that's courage. You just use that word, right? That's huge.
100%. And I think it's an ongoing thing. It's not just like a light switch that you switch on and then you're there and you're always there. Because throughout your life experience, there will always be new experiences, new challenges, new relationships, etc. How do you get there? Like attracts like.
Yeah.
Right. So personally, I could spend my life again in a box, and it would be unreasonable for me to have an expectation that I'm going to attract anything outside of what I'm putting out. So if I really want to break down my mindset, it's got to start with me stepping outside of whatever confines or limiting beliefs that I put in my own life. Because the majority, like 99.9% of the people I'll ever meet, are not even thinking those thoughts.
I know. Right.
Right? We created ourselves these limitations, whether it's a fear of speaking. I've had a fear of speaking for years. Anybody who knows me at Exit
I'll tell you, you
knows.
didn't seem like that when I met you for the
Oh,
first time.
I've had multiple conversations with my colleagues looking for words of inspiration. I see them go up there, they're flawless, right? And the only way that I can sort of step past my own limiting belief is to just keep taking a step forward and going through it. Because I know that I'll get to a place, and it's like learning anything, where you become inherently comfortable because you know what you're doing. And then all of a sudden you stop thinking about it. And then it's a very comfortable, authentic experience. So
And that's where you find the most, you just comfortable. I love that. Right. Like, cause now you're like, yo, I'm being me. Oh my God. The world is actually accepting me. I'm
mhm.
allowed to be me. This is
Yeah,
fun. And as funny as I say that, taking all the jokes outside of it, that's legit right there. That's real. That's where you get to that point. And like, again, personally, and I think you're probably saying the same thing, that's where you find your next level. Right.
100%. Yeah. And I assume, I can very comfortably assume that you've had the experience where you get to a point where you're teaching or delivering or communicating in whatever form that you're doing it. And all of a sudden you're no longer thinking about what you're saying because you're observing the other person have the experience. And then when you stop making it about yourself,
Yeah.
right, and start making it about them and really witnessing again, whether I used to teach physical fitness.
Yep.
Okay. So it's actually where I learned how to become comfortable with public speaking,
Ah,
because
okay.
you're in the element, you're doing something that's really physically hard. For me as an instructor, I'm communicating something with words while demonstrating it physically. And then I'm witnessing all of these people around me trying to replicate the action. And when I was able to finally get over myself about what I thought about how I looked or what I was saying or how I was delivering something and started paying attention to them, everything changed. Everything changed.
Love that.
Yeah.
It's so true. Standing, I mean, yeah, we'll stand on a stage and be there with people, um, talking with people. And look, again, transparent. I'm speaking on my podcast right now. There's a lot of people here that that we do business with that have hired us in the past, or maybe considering hiring us. And if you are, please, get in touch. But seriously speaking, it's one of those where when you are there and you start to really realize that what you were saying, what you were doing, how you were teaching, how you were treating people is really the utmost of it all,
Mhm.
rather than what color shirt you wore, what kind of shoes you got on, or whatever else. People get past that. And,
Mhm.
I know that over the years of asking people, like, what's your biggest holdback from posting on social? And a lot of people, what are they going to say?
Mhm.
I don't know what they're going to think. Why does anybody care about me? I don't have any value to add. And I try to explain to people, it's like, no, you do. And you've got a lot to say. And quite frankly, if I ask people, like, why do you go to social media every single day? And I know I probably did this when we were in Halifax together, but like, why do you go on social media every day? Like, do you go there to find like the most magical golden answer you've ever seen before? People are like, no. So why do you go? I don't know. Yeah, you built a habit out of going. That's it. So now it's to the people on the other side of, hey, be there, right? People are there. There's billions of people there.
Mhm.
Be there in some capacity. Find your comfort level. And all of a sudden, again, you hit your next level,
Yeah,
right?
and I think to your point of what you said earlier about balance, right? So in the world of social digital sphere, it's the balance of developing relationships, because that's what's in my opinion, what's the very most important thing of being a human is developing relationships with others, and then balancing that with sort of the addictive qualities that can come with this type of experience,
Yeah.
right? And just being super aware of that. But the value of being able to stay on the side of relationship building, of connecting with others, really getting to know people to the point where you can take it offline, because that's ultimately what we want to do, right? It's not just a virtual experience. But also being able to be yourself, and it'll naturally affect others to want for them to want to be themselves. It's what makes you memorable, right? So
Yeah.
if we think about advertising in any capacity, you want to be remembered, right? So yes, repetition, you always want to have your face and name in front of people and have an association of you and your expertise, whatever that is. In this case, it's real estate. Everybody is looking for a home of some kind. So we have such incredible opportunity to get in front of people and to talk to them about the most important thing they're probably going to buy in their lives. But you want to be memorable as a human,
We call
right?
that process building mindshare.
Mm-hmm.
little shameless plug over here. But what about the importance of video? Like, how important is it over the past couple of years? We've been for anybody. Look, we've been preaching it for a number of years now. Get on video. And again, coming back to being authentic and coming back to being yourself. When we talk about these digital marketing strategies, the most effective digital marketing strategies, two-sided kind of question, comment, statement here for a moment here. I think that a lot of uh, people, agents, entrepreneurs, look for a band-aid fix
Mm-hmm.
on if I could just spend some money somewhere to handle my digital or handle whatever it is, I'll be okay. I've implemented my strategy. I'm good to go. Whereas we know that you've got to have authenticity, you got to be genuine, you've got to be providing value. When we look at, especially even now in these changing markets, because the markets are just shifting. And I'm still going to say to everybody, and I'm going to put it out there right now, like, if you think it's a bad market, you are dead wrong. It is a very healthy market, and things are becoming a lot more opportunistic for both the buyer and the seller, rather than just that craziness of what we've gone through over the past 24 months. But
Mm-hmm.
with all of that in place, the question becomes, we've got to be out there with people. We got to be connecting. We want to be marketing and building the mind share. Where does video play a role in that?
Well, to your
And
point, to your point of the Band-Aid, that's like taking a pill and expecting it to deliver
right.
whatever diet,
Yep.
whatever sort of physical outcome that you want it to do. There's no sort of um, simple, easy, take something and it fixes everything. I think that video is important is because it's really about getting in front of people and communicating with them, right? It's not about sort of this still two-dimensional push type of content. It's people don't respond to that. They want to see the person. They want to know who you are. They want to hear your voice. So to be able to leverage that, I just And we've been, as you have said yourself, talking about it for years, even prior to the last 3 years, about how
Yeah,
important video is,
totally.
right?
Yep.
And then we're sort of experiencing a little bit of fatigue with video because a lot of us live through video. Slowly that's changing.
Yep.
Um, but there's no other way to communicate who you truly are. If you can't be in front of someone in person, the next best thing is video. And it's kind of that simple, and it's
Mhm.
just about practicing. It's about doing it on a regular basis. It's about learning how to get over yourself and realize that the closer you can get to just speaking from your heart about what you're passionate about. We're in a people business, right? It's not about hiding behind paperwork. It really is about working with people. So we have to kind of step outside of that shell, and get in front of people.
And I agree completely on that. Video is definitely, again, one of your most effective digital strategies out there because it really is the next best thing to being there in person,
Mhm.
right? People can listen to you, they can hear you, they can learn from you, they can form an opinion about you. They can literally get to that point where they go, again, do I like this person or do I not like this person? Would I want to talk to this person further? And back to what I said about making them believe, the more you're out there, and as you said, and we always continue to say, the consistency, the more you're out there consistently and you're putting yourself out, it will take time.
Mhm.
Some people jump on it right away, and some people it'll take weeks, months, years. You won't even know that they were watching, but then all of a sudden they pop out of nowhere and they say, yeah, I've been following you for years. I wanted to talk to you about something. You're like, what? Never heard from you before in my life.
Yeah.
Which says to us that as long as you are comfortable with what you're doing, you are consistent about it, you put in the effort, you are authentic, and you deliver value,
Mm.
good things will come. But it's not about a band-aid fix. It's not an overnight magic pill. It's about the consistency and the effort and what you're doing.
I do have a lot of conversations with our associates at Exit, and asking about the challenges, asking about the start stop approach. What is it that is either deterring you, or why did you feel discouraged?
Mm-hmm.
You were ramping up, and then all of a sudden you pulled back.
Yeah. What do you get from people?
Well, I tried it once and it didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you mean you didn't get all the views that you wanted? You didn't sell
Yeah.
5 houses? Ah, go figure. The one video. Yeah, you give up. No joke. Don't do that.
But that's what it is,
I
right?
know.
I think collectively, a lot of people, and it's that 80-20 rule, right? So 80% of the people become discouraged after the first attempt, right? It's really just the 20%, they're doing 80% of the work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's that consistency, that repetition, right? Brands as an individual, not brands as the umbrella brand, but your brand is not built overnight. The concept of that 15 minutes of fame, or that sort of immediate stardom, if you will. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's a different industry, and that there's not necessarily any length or breadth or depth to that. So knowing that things aren't built overnight, is just building. It's no different than building your database, right? You start out with the sphere of people and then you want to connect to the people they know, and then you want to connect to the people you don't know.
That's
That
right.
doesn't happen overnight, and it's something that needs to be managed and monitored regularly.
I think everybody needs to pay attention to vanity metrics and like the whole thing of or like, pardon me, let me do that another way. Everybody like needs to not pay attention to vanity metrics, like the whole thing of like how many likes you get, how many views you get. Because I'll tell you, we know a lot of people try to get into video, let's say, or even social, and they just overcomplicate the entire process because the whole way through they're trying to think of every like cross every T, dot every I, make it perfect. Then you spend all this time doing it only to get to the point where you're like, oh my God, I didn't get the likes. I didn't get the views. I didn't sell a house. Well, this was a waste of time. Well, yeah,
Mhm.
simplify the process from here. And that's one of the stories I always tell about like when I started with video is like it was the big production, a proper microphone and a Mac. I mean, Macs. Like I don't even know why people use Macs. The X button's on the wrong side, but like, like all this stuff. And then it got to the point that I'm like, that's it. This is how we're recording video from now on. You know what I mean? And I mean, now we've gone to obviously that, but the whole idea being phone. It's got the mic, it's got the camera. That's all I really need. We are
Yeah,
good to go.
good
Let's
to
rock and
go.
roll. And now it's about consistency.
Yeah.
And much the same for me. And I know this. Um, you just said it, but had I stopped because I didn't get the likes and views off of a video, I would have stopped a long time ago. We've had videos that have hit thousands of views and likes. We've had videos that you look and go like, did anybody see this thing? But if you allow that to determine what you're doing, you're going to stop immediately.
And isn't often it's the videos that you are overthinking that you put in so much extra time and effort into, and those are the ones that don't always perform as well. And it's that sort of raw, candid,
Yep.
Again, you being you type of
Yep.
video that people just, they're compelled to watch.
That is totally what it is all about.
Yeah. And knowing that you can't please everybody. It's not about that. It's not
Well,
about
that goes back to the authenticity we just said, right?
You're not here to please everybody. You're here to talk to the people that you can best serve, because you're going to be able to deliver value. You're going to be able to, make those connections, and they're naturally going to respond to you. When you're set in your mind, if you're sold on yourself, you're going to be able to sell, right?
You know what? And that's exactly it. Like, you find the comfort in you. So here, as we're talking about video, as we're talking about social, we know that the average person is spending about 3 hours a day on social media, is what they say. And I think that's a crazy amount of time. But, from a business perspective, I think we both agree there's a very heavy emphasis on having a social media presence. Would you agree with that statement there?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So when it comes to that, and when it comes to spending time on social, and as we're talking about effective digital marketing strategies, what can we be doing? What should realtors be doing or focused on when it comes to that social media presence? Like, what would maybe what would you say to somebody they should be doing today with their social, and how do they, parlay that to tomorrow and the next day so we get that consistency we just mentioned?
Definitely. I think that social needs to be a part of the business plan. I think that planning ahead and really identifying, okay, what's my objective? What's my end goal? What are the things that I can bring to the table? Which channels should I be on? Again, it is about time management, and knowing and understanding that you only have so many hours in a day. So, consistency requires regular attention, which means that you're going to have to schedule throughout your week how much time you want to spend. So having that strategy in place, knowing what channels you should be on, you don't need to be everywhere to have an impact. You should be where you're most comfortable, right? Because the more comfortable you are, the more that you will participate. It's really kind of that simple. So pick one, start there, get really good at it, be consistent, as you said, and try not to get sucked into the noise. There's always going to be noise. So having a strategic approach and then planning goals for yourself, right? In the first quarter, this is what I want to accomplish. Maybe I just want to make new connections. Maybe that's all I want to do in the first quarter. I might have higher goals or more complicated goals. So thinking ahead and then stepping back and knowing that it takes time. Okay, I've got time. This is my career. Mm-hmm. Right?
I think I think that's it, right? And like, again, as we talked about delivering value, right, and trying to think to ourselves, like, here, why am I important? That fear, what are they going to say? So we talk about a content strategy, right? What are we doing when it comes to, like, we brought up value before. Let's come back to that for a quick sec. How do we define value, and how do we ensure we're delivering it at all times? And let's like mix that into, how do I find my content strategy? Or does this come right back to the whole thing of authenticity again? Mm-hmm. What would be the play there? So I'm just kind of fresh and I'm going, okay, I'm listening to you, Samantha. I'm agreeing with you. I'm like really scared, but I'm willing to jump. What do I do?
You've got to think about what your audience wants, right? It's
right
not
back
about
to that niche market. Okay, cool. I love it.
It's not about what you want. It's about what they want and how they want to receive it. So if you're targeting a certain market, a certain area, a certain group of people, what is it that they're trying to accomplish? Right. What kind of problems do they have, and how can you be the solution? That's really what a content strategy should be. I think highly focused, laser beam focused. You add a little fun here and there, something personal, something inspiring. But at the end of the day, what is it? What you're trying to do? You're not speaking to a broad audience in the entire country. You don't need to think about every single variation or variable that people might have. It's really about honing in on your specific target market and knowing how to speak to them. And that's the content that you deliver, right? If they're a brand new homeowner, you want to deliver information to educate them so that they know exactly what they need to do or accomplish in order to get inside a home. If you're looking at people who, you're just wanting to sell as much real estate as possible, you want to get in front of them, in front of the buyers, in front of the sellers, make yourself available to them, accessible to them. We have technology at Exit that allows all of our agents to communicate all of the properties available in an area just by texting in, right? So I can text in, I text in the realtor's vanity code, and I get a list of all of the available properties in the neighborhood. So I can do some research, right? I can get some information without having to even have a conversation. That's a value add. It's easy, right? We're just delivering that information because we know people are looking.
And so I remember, I think you brought that up when we were at the conference too. I was tuned into a lot of what you were sharing out there. And there's some really wicked tools over there that people can take advantage of, right? To help them with the presence. And I think, taking what the brand offers, that Exit's offering from like a powerhouse of tools in the background there for the agents, to bringing that authenticity to the table and the consistency and the efforts. You said it with the 80-20, right?
Mhm.
I mean, look, everybody listening right now, it's very important to understand everybody wants it. Everybody wants to get to the next level. Only that many people actually take the step to do it. Only that many people can actually break through the fear of getting past the fear. Only that many people will actually figure out, okay, you know what? That's it. I'm going to drop the guard. I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to give myself to the world. And you know what? I know people will accept me, but we really only know that once we actually cross that line.
I think a big challenge or a significant reason for why 80% of the people are in the position that they're in is because they don't use the tools that are around them. There are we've worked really hard at Exit to develop a line of tools and technology so that you as an agent or you as an owner have options to be more efficient with your time. So you can be you. You're not worrying about all the details because we've got you covered, right? We've got your mobile business card. We've got technology that you can share listing information with people. We've got marketing technology that will instantly create all of the marketing materials that you need. We have a partnership with Facebook whereby you can run digital campaigns literally in 5 steps. Like it takes 60 seconds to create a campaign, and it can push out to your entire area. Like all of these tools and technology are in place. And if you actually use them, no different than if you use a CRM, right? If you manage and monitor your contacts and build your database and actually nurture it to grow and treat it like it's your baby, and you use a tool or technology to help you do that, your business is going to be incredible.
Yeah,
And
no,
so many agents don't use a CRM. They don't manage their contacts, and that's going to affect everything. No different than if you're not monitoring, if you're not leveraging the tools and technology out there for the marketing, right, to get in front of more people. It's not about doing it by word of mouth.
no pun intended, but the CRM and contact list are your exit strategy, right? Like they really are like down the road, right? So like, I mean, here, what are some non-negotiables that you feel that every realtor needs to have as part of the tool belt? Like, I know we're talking to social and the video and sort of that part and like, the value. We've touched on a little bit of the online and the offline stuff, but like, even if you said, okay, look, you're getting up today, you've got stuff you've got to do. What are some of those non-negotiables that they just continue to grow the business?
Well, to your point, like as you said, CRM, number
Yeah.
one.
Okay.
Number one, it's a people business. You need to manage your people. And you need to have a system in place that can help you remember how to connect with your people and reconnect with your people to keep those relationships. That's first and foremost.
Mhm.
Having a plan for your advertising, digital paid campaigns, I think are fundamental. They're extremely inexpensive. They can be set up on an ongoing basis. So it's very little administration on your part, but the return can be pretty significant. And then having all of the data that you collect from your digital campaigns feed into your CRM, I think is a bonus, right?
Yeah.
It's again, just managing all of the information. Those are the two things. I think you can do a lot with database management and digital advertising.
Okay, so let's talk to this then, because you just said something which sort of got my ears perked up, where it doesn't have to be expensive when it comes to digital stuff. And I do believe that a lot of people cop out. Like a lot of people decide, you know what, I'm going to go hire somebody to do my digital. I'm going to go hire somebody to do my social media. And look, there's a place where you can delegate some of that work.
Mhm.
I think we miss the whole concept of social media being social media and the need, the necessity to be there, to be part of it. So we go and we hire people and we figure they're just going to run like a whole bunch of stock pictures and put out content, and the consistency is there. And the consistency is there. And we've talked about the importance of the consistency. Yet is that the right messaging for your niche audience? And I personally don't think it is. So if I said, like, okay, we'll talk to ads in a second. If I said, what prospecting for new business, would we boil that back down to work your database and then be present in the digital world? Or how do we expand on that?
How do we expand to build out those relationships? Is that what you're
Well,
asking?
like it's like prospecting for new business, right? So if we
For new
look, first of
business.
all, we've just said CRM's like at the top of the list.
Right.
And we know that that's where you're going to get a majority of your business. We said it off the top. It generally stems from people you know. But then there is that desire to go and build to get more people and to find more of those people that might be part of our niche that we just don't know them yet and they don't know us yet. So now we want to prospect for new biz. We are using our social. We are working the database. We've talked about running ads, right? What would you say right now are the most effective ways to prospect for new business? Would it be like run the ads and be present on social? Is that kind of where your mind would go?
I do feel that way. I feel that creating awareness and branding campaigns is actually something that should be ongoing regardless of your experience and time in the industry. Again, it goes to that repetition, right? So constantly being in front of people, and digital, we know everybody is in some capacity online in social media or using browsers that will expose them to advertising.
Right.
So those branding and awareness campaigns is what is going to appear in front of people you don't know, so that you can then begin to retarget them. I do absolutely think that that's the easiest, most cost-effective way, in my opinion.
Okay, so then question of that then, because you said that, again, cost effective a couple times you mentioned. I love the fact that you're bringing that up because I think that the general census of it is ridiculously expensive, and like proof is out there that it can be ridiculously expensive. But I think when you either have the right tools or know how to do it right, you can keep those costs down. So I guess I've got a few questions mixed within one, but I would say, are online ads a must? What should people expect in terms of results from a overall cost, a time factor, and what are some of the expectations of like what else needs to be done? Like, it's one thing to generate a lead; it's a whole different ballgame to be able to convert a lead.
The sales cycle is really long for real estate, right? It's not instantaneous.
Right.
So the value is in the follow-up. So yes, you could have systems in place. You could have your CRM, you can have digital campaigns running, but if you're not getting on the phone and calling those people or reaching out to them or adding them to a drip campaign or networking with them in some capacity, that is a lead wasted. We at Exit feel that no lead should be wasted. No lead should be left behind, right? So we want to follow up with everyone, because today might not be a yes, but maybe tomorrow's a yes. Maybe it's a year from now. That's the type of business we're in. So the follow-up is number one, right? That after the tools and technology, what any agent should be doing is follow-up, instantaneous follow-up. And we do that with technology because we get the notifications. We've got the data that's pulling in from one and delivering to another, so that we can monitor and manage that. But you've got to follow up. You've got to have those conversations and not be shy about having those conversations.
So like if you're running the ads and you're putting yourself out there, well, not even just putting yourself, but like you're running the ads, you're spending the time, you're spending the money, you're investing the time to the follow-up. We've talked about this, the real estate sales cycle is a lengthy one. It is a long-term game. And I think everybody needs to understand that if, real estate is a long game. Like I always make the joke, and I probably said it when we were in Halifax, but like, where can I go and, make like $500,000 on a property in the next 24 hours? And like past 24 months of market aside, let's look at reality and say, it doesn't work like that. You need to invest for the long haul to see the equity grow.
Yeah. If you look at the sales cycle, right, the funnel, right, if you spend too much time at the very top of that widest part of the funnel, you're just going to be going around in circles.
Yeah.
You want to be able to nudge people down to just seeing you every once in a while, to getting to know your name, to wanting to have a conversation. And again, knowing that could be days, months, even years in the making. but appreciating that the business isn't social media. The business is real estate,
Right.
right? It's not about the money I'm putting into an ad campaign. It's the money they're going to put into the home, and it's exponentially more significant. So it's going to take time, right? If I can run a campaign in 60 seconds, there's no way I can expect for the real estate industry to respond that way. Again,
Right.
putting aside the last little while.
Yeah.
But knowing that, again, it's an emotional situation. To buy a home, it is an emotional experience. And so, yes, there are instances where people will react with emotion, and they're making very quick decisions, and they're going to have to pay for that, unfortunately, in some way or another. But when we talk about the sales cycle or the funnel and nudging people down into the narrowest part, which is, making for them to make that decision in order to work with you, to buy with you, and to be loyal with you as a client, it could take months and years.
Okay,
And
there it is, right? But there it is. So if you're going to do it, you've got to budget for it,
mm-hmm.
and you got to be ready to stick it out for the long haul.
Yeah.
Don't just come in again looking for the magic pill, Band-Aid fix.
And I think that's why we have a turnover in this industry, is because people come into it thinking that it's easy, right? They weren't around necessarily, like, if, realtors that haven't been around when interest rates were 22 and a quarter or whatever.
Yeah, right.
They don't know what that experience is like. So what we've experienced in the last 5 years is not really representative of what could happen, maybe
Right.
on an upcycle, but not necessarily on the other end. So it's not about the instant fix. It's not about the immediate. There's tools and technology that can help you immediately connect with people,
Mm-hmm.
but to build those relationships no different than you would in your personal life. It's an investment.
Yeah.
Right. You invest in others, and that's how those relationships become real.
Okay. So we look at, and we've talked about consistency, right? Like remaining consistent through it all, and now being able to consistently generate the flow of business,
Mm-hmm.
being able to consistently follow up and convert that flow of business, and then being able to stay in touch with that flow of business so that you get more business.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot to do on top of everything else. And as we talk about the importance of consistency, I would now transition that into an action step and say, how do I remain consistent? What is the trick to being that you find? I mean, I've got what I believe it is, but I'm curious to see, you get your insights on that. Like, how do we remain consistent?
Well, I think goal setting is really important. I think time blocking and scheduling is really important. These tasks, these things that we need to do, or we know that are going to help us become more successful, schedule them and keep your appointments, right? Keep your appointments.
What do you mean? Don't just like not show up?
Right. So if I
but it's okay if I'm like 10 minutes late, right? That's okay.
No.
No.
Most people don't appreciate tardiness.
Yeah.
So, but treat yourself in the same manner. So if let's say the advertising component is something that you haven't quite wrapped your head around, schedule it like you would a very important appointment and keep your appointment until it becomes second nature. Again, the more you learn, the more inherently you understand, and then you become the teacher, and then you end up learning the most. So that again has to follow a path. So start off with scheduling everything and set little tiny goals for yourself, short term, long term, and then keep plugging away. Like it's just one step in front of the other.
They're the exact steps. Like I said, I got my opinion. But that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Right? Set the goals. So you define the destination.
Mm-hmm.
Once you understand where the destination is, quote unquote, your goals, now just map them out in the GPS, the navigation, and have it just take you there. And I'll say that your navigation GPS is your schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I love what you said there. It's like, put it in there, but no, it's not. And being facetious there, obviously it's not okay to be late. It's not okay to just miss an appointment because you just decided not to go. That is somebody else's time.
Mm-hmm.
That is even your own time. And much the same to how you said it, schedule yourself for you. Like I say this to everybody, look, even if you think, you work from home, so your office is maybe at home, or you got a home office, you always start your day there, but you have a tendency to maybe be a little bit late. then you know what? If you're supposed to start at 9 a.m., get in the car at 10 to 9, drive around the block, show back up to your house on time, and get to that desk by 9 a.m., right?
Mhm.
It's that idea of trying to train yourself in a proper way to actually stay on the ball with the schedule. I mean, it's just a fact. When you schedule things, you will get everything you want done and still have time for more. People just don't
Totally.
typically take the dedication or have the discipline to schedule.
And discipline is the key word. And I think these last few years have allowed us to reflect on ourselves about how disciplined we are in all aspects of life.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
So, regardless of what's transpired, okay, I want to develop discipline, but I know I'm not really strong in these areas. To your point, even if you're working from home, get up and get dressed.
Yeah.
Right. Have a routine, have a system in place that's personal and professional so that your mind's right. Because when your mind's right, your body's right, everything around you is going to respond in the same kind of way. Right? Like attracts
100.
like. And you've got to start with the end in mind. What is it that I ultimately want from my life? What is it that I ultimately want for the relationships that I have, personal, professional? What is it that I want to feel with regards to the time that I'm investing in my career? What is it that I want? What's that big picture and how do I paint that? And then again, to your point, take those steps back and then just start with that one step in front of the other with those little tiny goals because each stepstone is going to take you that much closer.
And that's been an underlying theme as well today of just it's that small little actions that you take that paint the big picture
Mhm.
as opposed to trying to get it all done at one time. So some wicked combo around the most effective digital marketing strategy. So if I said to you now then like what are the takeaway action steps that everybody today, if we said like, 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of thing, um, for anybody that is tuned in here to create an effective digital marketing strategy, what would those like bullet points be? Okay, guys, do this, do this, do this. What's that those marching orders there?
Well, similarly to how you might plan out your life, right? You start with the end goal in mind. So, what is it that you want to accomplish? Make a list. Really get to know who you're targeting, understand your audience and what their needs are, and start to develop content around providing a solution for whatever it is their problem. What is it that they're seeking? How can you speak to that? How can you get really good at being able to provide value to them and information and then take them to the next level? Have systems in place so that you can be efficient with your time, so that you're not spending too much time doing the things that you don't need to be doing. You want to have an advertising plan, those consistent campaigns, monitoring those consistent campaigns, and setting those goals for yourself so that you can then reassess how successful you were and make changes as needed.
Everybody can tell why she's my people. You see, like it's you know what? All jokes aside, like a very similar way of thinking there, but that's marketing, that's strategy, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the whole idea there. And I mean, we didn't get into neuroscience or neuromarketing, but a lot of what we talked about today is the type of stuff that actually taps into that, which then does impact the decisions that people make. And that is whether they're going to work with you, whether that's going to refer you, any of that stuff come back to you, anything, it really comes back to, again, what are those processes that you have in place? And then
Mhm.
again, how consistent are you with it?
Yeah, consistency, discipline, and knowing that, again, that reminder of nothing is built overnight.
Yep.
So much like in your own life, when you have your own personal goals, right? It's the same when running an ad campaign,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Love that.
They parallel each other. So I think in this business and in digital advertising marketing, um, parallel the expectations around you would your own life, right? Do I expect to be at this goal tomorrow? No, because it's going to require me to do 20 things that I have not yet done or put in my 10,000 hours to become an expert. My campaigns are the same, right? My relationships with people are the same. My database is the same. I've got to work at it. I've got to nurture it over time. I've got to help it grow. And there are all the things around that in order to develop those relationships so that there's loyalty, so that your business then becomes business upon business.
Have patience, right?
Yeah.
Like seriously though, it's like again,
Virtue.
it's right. Like it's got. I mean, and none of us do because we all expect it immediately.
Yeah.
Amazon, oh, they're here. You know what I mean? But you got to have patience.
Yeah.
Now, as you talk about goals, How do you know it's been a successful day for you at the end of the day?
For me personally, or speaking
Yeah,
generally?
for
Yeah, for
you.
me personally.
Yeah.
It's an interesting experience working through building a national brand, right? Because the scale is really large and it's really not about me as an individual. It's about what's the big picture.
Hmm.
So a successful day to me is I bring it back down to sort of grassroots. It's the conversations I have. Sure, I'm monitoring metrics. I'm watching month over month, week over week
Yeah.
performance. I'm, adjusting as I go to try to work on the best type of messaging. But it's really shown in those conversations when I meet people. When I'm able to connect with them on a different level, I'm able to give them something that they didn't have before, or inspire them to try something different, or just challenge them. Right? That's when I know that there's been a success. It's really in the relationships with others. Um,
It's
all
so
of
no, it's bang on though.
Yeah, it is. Like the data is important. Data is absolutely important. And that's all part of goal setting is knowing where you've been so that you can know, how far you are from where you want to go.
Hmm.
But it really resonates when it's with another human being or a group of people, when you can just turn to them and say, okay, this is what we're going to do, or why wouldn't you try that? Just because it's always worked, does that mean it's always going to work?
Well, I see. I actually, I think, I towards the close when we were in Halifax together, I said track, measure, adjust. I
Yes.
really like what you just mentioned though on that though about how we're always adjusting. Um, and I mean that wasn't what I took away in the entirety of your message right there, but it is important for everybody to understand like whatever you're doing today may not be exactly how you do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Be ready to move. Be ready to bob and weave a little bit. There's nothing perfect and you don't need to be perfect. The more you try, the more consistent you are. Whatever you've done, it'll work no matter what. Like I
Mhm.
got a lot of videos I've done where it's like they're great in the moment. You look back on them, you go like, "Oh my god, I can't even believe I put that out there to the world." But you just keep moving. It's
Yeah.
just part of now the fabric within or the weave within the fabric,
And part
right?
of what I like, sorry.
No, I was just going to say the overall that I took from your message, it was other people,
Yeah,
and
it
that's the
is.
big key. I love that.
To your point quickly about try, measure, adjust,
Yeah.
going back to mindset of how to get outside of yourself. It's like try, fail, adjust, because
Oh my
failure
god.
has a negative connotation, but it's the little failures or the little changes, the little pivots that we make over time that actually bring us the most, right? So
Okay, well this is my whole example, right? Again, success,
yep,
try, fail,
yep,
learn, try, fail, learn, and all the while we're like, well, I guess I should go a little higher, but you get it. We're like working
yep,
up while we're failing the whole time.
yep.
There's the path towards success, and you could say it sucks, but that's just reality of life. The more you fail, that means you've tried. The more you learn, then the better you're getting. There's the journey.
And no successful person has not failed.
Oh my
Every
god.
single successful business person, athlete, performer, individual, even on a personal level, they've all had what we would see as failures. And the best of the best have had thousands, tens of thousands of failures, but they didn't stop.
They didn't stop, and that's the beauty. And I think that so many of those successful people will still tell you they still haven't hit it,
Hmm.
which is even the better thing, right?
Yeah.
So here, I think you might have just given it, but I'm going to ask it just because it's part of it. Like any final words, tips, anything to help people get out there, build Mindshare from a digital marketing strategy to a mindset. This has been a great conversation. Just some maybe final words on anything maybe that you want to throw out there.
Absolutely. I thank you for having me. I
Oh
so
my God,
appreciate
pleasure.
this conversation. Uh, I think it's time for, if there's any one thing that I would say is just be different. Step outside of your comfort zone. Try something new. Push yourself to learn how to become disciplined. Stay focused. Stay focused on your end goal and with heart.
With
And
her,
if
I
you
love
find
that.
that, I mean, everything just comes to you.
Yeah. That's amazing. Samantha, where can people find you? How can people connect with you, talk to you, learn more about Exit, what you guys got? Just you tap into the marketing genius you got there. Where can people
Absolutely.
go?
All of our social profiles, handles are Exit Realty Corp. So I have my hands on a lot of those accounts, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. Um, and then, of course, personally, I'm on Facebook at Samantha Exit Realty. And I can communicate through all of those channels. Also on LinkedIn, of course, under my name, Samantha Morris. And if you add Exit Realty Corp, you'll find me there.
Amazing. I encourage everybody go connect with Samantha. Tune in, learn. She's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to marketing. And I so appreciate you being here with us on the Mindshare podcast today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David.
You were either watching us live, you were watching this recording, you were listening to this on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google, I mean, you name it, any one of the major podcast platforms. And while you're there, make sure that also you, maybe you went to my website, mindshare101.com to listen to it, but while you're there, make sure to download your free Ultimate Marketing Bundle. This is a free guide. It's a 31-page ebook. It's got a 90-day social media content calendar in there just to help you get out there and build more mind share so that you can get more market share. Also, of course, if you want to talk about personalized one-to-one coaching to help you get to your next level, please connect with my team. They will set up a free Explore call. We will talk about what you're looking to achieve and how we are going to help you do exactly that. Also, don't forget that our push to 100 is on. It is super easy. Please go over to ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101 and, just click on as many stars as you possibly can. Of course, leave us a nice little review. I would be very, very grateful if you would take a moment to do that. Of course, if you haven't connected with me on Facebook, do so please at Mindshare101 and on Instagram at David Greenspan 101. I want to thank our friend Virginia Munden from the Buzz Conference for sponsoring today's episode. They are absolutely amazing. Be sure to visit their website, www.thebuzzconference.com. Follow them on Instagram at The Buzz Conference. Keep tabs on all of the amazing events they are always hosting, along with getting the latest copy of the Buzz Digital Magazine, which just dropped this week. And I got some of my favorite crew on the front cover there. Also, don't forget about their June 24th event. This is a philanthropic initiative, and we want you a part of it. So it is coming up quick. Make sure you visit them on Instagram. Go to the website again. Check that one out. June 24 is that date. So mark that one down. Also mark down September 7th through 8th for Disruption 2022, which I am super, super pumped about. Just again, amazing events always put on by the Buzz Conference. Of course, I want to thank Kids Keeping Such Systems for sponsoring today's episode. If you haven't checked us out yet, just go to mindshare101.com and click on marketing. This has been another episode of the Mindshare podcast. Thank you for tuning in.